Tides. They're the quiet background music of the planet, the steady rise and fall of oceans that we mostly take for granted, unless you're a surfer, a fisherman, or a flip-flop wearing tourist who parked too close to the beach. But beneath this soothing motion lies a force so powerful, so constant, and so foundational that if we ever lost it, Earth would, quite literally, start to unravel. Yes, we're talking about the moon's gentle but relentless gravitational pull. And today, we're going to explore how tides, those humble oceanic wiggles, are secretly holding our planet together, and why Earth would be a complete mess without them. So, what actually causes tides? Short answer, the moon. Slightly longer answer, a cosmic tug-of-war between the moon, the sun, and our spinning Earth. As the moon's gravity pulls on the Earth, it creates a bulge in the ocean on the side facing the moon. But here's the weird part. Another bulge happens on the opposite side of the planet. Why? Because the Earth itself is being pulled slightly more than the water on the far side, so the water gets left behind. The result? 2 high tides and 2 low tides per day, like clockwork. Like the universe flexing its muscles in rhythm. But tides aren't just some poetic sideshow. They are one of the quiet forces that keep our planet, and everything on it, functioning. For example, without tides, Earth would spin faster. That's because tidal movement creates friction between the water and the seafloor, between the coastlines and the oceans, which very gradually slows down Earth's rotation. Right now, days are getting longer at a snail's pace, about 1.7 milliseconds per century. It sounds small, but without that tidal friction, we'd have shorter days, faster winds, and a lot of confused ecosystems. Even life itself might owe its existence to tides. One leading theory suggests that the earliest self-replicating molecules, the ancestors of life, may have formed in tidal pools. These shallow pools along ancient shorelines were regularly flooded and then dried out. That wet-dry cycling may have concentrated organic molecules just enough to give chemistry the kick it needed to become biology. Without tides, no pools, no kick, no life, just a wet rock spinning through space. To make this theory even more fascinating, imagine the constant baking and rinsing of molecules under the scorching sun, then cooled by the ocean. It's a cosmic cooking show, one where the secret ingredient is moon-induced flooding. Some researchers even suggest that the complex molecules essential for RNA might have formed this way, making tides not just helpful, but potentially essential to life itself. And speaking of spinning, tides also help regulate the global climate by driving ocean circulation. Tidal forces mix the ocean's layers, bringing cold, nutrient-rich water from the depths to the surface and pushing warm water downward. This vertical mixing helps maintain the thermohaline circulation, what scientists call the global conveyor belt, which moves heat around the globe. Take away tides, and that conveyor weakens. The Atlantic might get colder, the tropics might get warmer, and Europe might start wearing snow boots year-round. This circulation isn't just about temperature, it's about balance. Nutrients get distributed, carbon gets stored, and oxygen gets mixed. Coral reefs flourish partly because of nutrient movement. Phytoplankton, those microscopic floating plants that produce much of our oxygen, depend on the upwelling stirred by tides. So, if you like breathing, you might want to send a thank you card to the moon. But wait, there's more. Marine life is synced to tidal rhythms. Crabs, barnacles, mussels, corals, they all live and breathe by the tide. Shorebirds migrate in step with tidal patterns. Corals even spawn during specific moon phases. So when you mess with tides, you're not just messing with water, you're rewiring entire ecosystems. Ever wondered how a horseshoe crab knows when to show up for its annual beach party? Tides. It's like an ancient RSVP system from the moon. In fact, the moon and tides function like the world's most consistent alarm clock for the natural world. Sea turtles crawl onto beaches under specific tidal and lunar conditions. Fish spawn at exact tidal heights. Even seaweed grows in cycles synced to tidal exposure. If we lost tides, it would be like smashing a whole orchestra's metronome. Even our coastlines depend on the tides. Tides sweep the shores, flush out pollutants, and bring in nutrients. Estuaries, those rich, muddy zones where rivers meet the sea, depend on tides to stay alive. These areas filter pollutants, buffer floods, and act as nurseries for marine life. Remove tides, and they become stagnant puddles of decay. Basically, tides are nature's janitorial service, showing up twice a day, every day, without fail. Think of them as your ocean's very own Roomba, except much quieter, and they don't get stuck under furniture. And then there's the moon. Just as the moon pulls on Earth, Earth pulls on the moon. This mutual tug keeps the moon tidally locked. We always see the same face. Without tides, the moon might drift away more quickly, destabilizing this delicate relationship. If the moon drifts too far, we'd lose not just our beautiful lunar nights, but the stabilizing gravitational force that helps keep Earth's axial tilt in check. And that tilt is what gives us seasons. So, no tides might eventually mean no reliable climate, just chaos in orbit. Goodbye spring, summer, fall, and winter. Hello, weird. Tides also represent one of the most promising sources of renewable energy. Unlike solar and wind, which can fluctuate with weather, tides are reliable, predictable, quiet. If you've seen our previous video, you know about tidal turbines, underwater dams, and the project's already turning this ancient rhythm into clean power. So yes, no tides also means no tidal power. Fewer tools to fight climate change. And let's face it, we need all the tools we can get. If we can make power from the moon's hug, we absolutely should. And it's not just theory. Real tidal power plants exist in places like South Korea, France, and the UK. Some of them power tens of thousands of homes using just the rhythm of the tides. Imagine turning the daily rise and fall of seawater into electricity with zero emissions. It's as if the moon signed up for your electric bill. Even the shape of our planet has been carved by the tides. They build beaches, erode cliffs, form deltas, and shift sediment. The very geography of our coastlines, their curves, inlets, and estuaries, owes a lot to the daily dance of the sea. Without tides, much of that coastal evolution would just stop. Landscapes would go stale. Ecosystems would lose their dynamic edge. Picture a beach that never changes. Sounds peaceful? Maybe, but also boring and biologically lifeless. And let's not forget the cultural side of tides. Countless civilizations have built their calendars, festivals, and even religions around lunar and tidal cycles. From ancient seafarers timing their voyages to modern surfers chasing the perfect wave, tides have always shaped the rhythm of human life as much as they have shaped nature. Without them, we'd lose not just ecosystems, but a fundamental sense of time and flow. Imagine explaining surfing to a future generation without tides. It's like skating, but the rink is made of water, and sometimes it's just gone. Tides show up in myths, in poetry, in love stories written on beaches. They shape the language we use, the stories we tell, and even the metaphors we lean on. How many times have you heard someone talk about the ebb and flow of life? That comes from the tides. It's a reminder that change is natural, predictable, even beautiful. Now, imagine a world where the tides just stop. The sea stands still. At first, the change would be subtle, but then you'd notice the smell. Beaches without their daily flush start to stink. Estuaries dry out. Coral reefs bleach faster. Migrating animals miss their cues. Weather patterns shift. Climates wobble. The moon starts drifting away. Earth spins a little too fast. And all of a sudden, the quiet thing we took for granted becomes the thing we desperately need back. Tides are like Earth's heartbeat. Steady, patient, essential. And we barely notice them. But without them, this planet would be unrecognizable. Less alive, less stable, less like home. They keep the oceans breathing, the ecosystems ticking, the climates balanced, and the moon in check. So the next time your flip-flops get soaked by a wave that wasn't there a minute ago, don't be annoyed. Be grateful. That's not just water. That's the moon, the Earth, and a whole planetary system humming along, one beautiful, rhythmic pull at a time. And honestly, that's pretty poetic for something that occasionally ruins your beach picnic.